Okay, we are on our way to basically Los Angeles. What city are we going to, Sean?
Garden Grove.
Garden Grove. We're going to Garden Grove. Two boys who live in Las Vegas, going all the way to Garden Grove, California, to see Neil Breen. You might not know who Neil Breen is. We sure do. We made a whole movie based on his work, and are reasonably big fans of Neil Breen. My beautiful hot pregnant wife. She got us tickets to see his latest film, Twisted Pair, in theaters. There is supposedly a Q&A after the film, and so potentially we can actually talk to, and oh, God willing, we might be able to get a photo op with Neil Breen. That's the kind of the point of this whole trip is hopefully, just maybe, after all these years, all these 2 years, we can get a photo op with Neil Breen. But we are making this very stupid 4-hour trip just to go see Neil Breen.
Have you considered, Michael, that we might run into people there who have seen Fatal Future?
Oh my God! If someone recognizes us from Fatal Future, that would be a dream come true. Not a meeting Neil Breen and getting a photo op and maybe a kiss on the cheek, dream come true, but certainly a dream come true.
And what if Neil Breen recognizes us and has us thrown out?
That would also be quite. I would count that as a dream come true. Yeah. Yeah, I'll get it eventually. I keep wanting to say Oak Grove. I don't know.
We're here by the United Methodist Church, which is positively dystopian.
Oh my God. Dun 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 dun. All right, so this over here is the venue. Yeah. I don't know why, but when I saw amphitheater, I didn't actually think an outdoor amphitheater. I'm probably just because I'm stupid.
Did you not realize that this was going to be outside?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about it. I guess when I think watching a movie, I don't think,
Jesus Christ.
being outside.
Jesus. Michael forgot his phone. Okay, let's go get it. There he goes. Look at him. There he is. Wait, oh, did he have it all along? Maybe not. No. Okay, so, I don't know. Shit. How are you? I'm good. I'm doing okay. Thanks.
Let's take a look at Garden Grove. Garden Grove. Let's look at Garden Grove. Yeah. Sean. Really need an ND filter out here. What are you looking at?
It's a mobile park and bench.
Huh. So Sean, how do you feel?
I feel small, Mike. Look how big this fucking chair is.
Oh my God.
It's so big.
Oh my God.
Look how big this fucking chair is.
It's...
I mean, some people might think that they own large chairs, but this is truly a large ship. And it definitely has limitless novelty potential.
1 hour later.
Here today, what's like, even like that feeling of why that you get when you see a Neil Breen movie?
To get the full Neil Breen experience with the Breenius itself.
I'm expecting
Surreal.
lots of bad acting and lots of laptops.
When the teenage daughter's hitting on him.
That is dark. But I would argue that it's kind of a toss-up because that has the teenage daughter. This one has the girlfriend with the home invasion fetish, I guess.
Mom called.
Bless us all as his children.
As the Breen's children.
As the Breen's children, yes. Big Brain Breen, that's what we call him.
Hashtag eyes on Breen.
Hashtag eyes on Breen, bro.
Caring about so much. We're going to question God. We're going to question, we're going to ask literally the questions. Why are we here? Who are we?
Who are we? Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude, there's groups?
Yeah,
Well,
What?
I'm in an RLM.
Oh, I can tell. Yeah.
Look at him too. But that's how I found out about it.
Oh, dude, wait, are there like actual fan clubs like that meet?
No, well, I don't know.
I mean, this would be the place
In LA,
to
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
We live in Vegas.
Oh,
everybody
wait,
hates
you came
Vegas.
all the way out here from Vegas?
No, I know.
You guys came from.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
from his
fucking
home.
awesome, bro.
Have you? There's like on the main site. There's a thing that says like the showing in Chicago had like 500 people, and then it's like he was saying something about ovations, but it's just like the word ovation and like a period. It's just like, and then he repeats the same line. He's like, and then there was more ovations, standing ovations, all kinds of ovations.
Sounds like an episode of Seinfeld.
It's honestly, I don't know. And then many more, great
Many more to
criticisms.
come, yeah. Merry Christmas by Neil Breen. I would love a Neil Breen Christmas card.
I would love a Neil Breen
Or a
themed-
Christmas movie.
No. I want
to see Neil Breen make a Hallmark Christmas movie.
fuck.
Yes!
Hell yeah.
By
I want
Hallmark,
to see a
too.
Halloween, or I want to see a Christmas themed. I want to do like a whole soundtrack, a CD of like Neil Breen sings the best Christmas music.
Ooh, that would be good.
And it's
It
just
could be
like,
like,
You could put him as the
be
character.
like Frank Sinatra.
But Neil Breen.
We're going to walk in, and Neil Breen's
when
going
the
to walk
gates
out.
open and the smoke.
Just gonna walk straight out those doors.
That's pretty much what's going to happen.
It's gonna be like Willy Wonka.
And we're going to be like, where are you going, Neil? And he'll say, I'm leaving. And that's the QA.
Oh, yes.
Does anybody have a favorite Neil Breen movie or moment, like
I've
anything that
only-
sticks out?
I mean, the first and only movie I've watched by him is Faithful Findings.
That's the
I
best
saw that with the group, dude.
It
It
is
was magnificent. I couldn't ask for a better movie experience.
Definitely the watch the most.
I'll be honest, it's the
We
first
released
time I've ever
before
seen a Neil
Twisted
Breen
Sister.
movie in my life.
Oh my God! Have you seen the reviews though? I assume.
Of course, yeah.
So what are you excited for your first experience?
Absolutely. I'm excited to see the dynamics of him reflecting on the film. I'm assuming Among Us, it'll be interesting to just see how it all kind of plays out. Seeing how much he appreciates his work, and just, it's a fascinating thing to hear someone speak about it and having the opportunity to ask, like, fully interact and ask the right questions.
You think Breen is just...
To the fucking thing.
Yes.
Yes. Grand Theft Auto, dude. No fucking dude. Call of Duty World War II. No. He's opening his library. No. This is great. Twisted Pants. Yes. Front seats, front seats.
September. Boy, I'm just rhyming these syllables.
So they have moved the microphone away from the stage, which gives me an awful feeling. There's also a young woman pacing around on a phone. This could be bad. It's now, what, 10 past 7?
Yeah, thereabouts. 7:12.
It is 7:12. The film has not begun. Still no movie, but we do have the opening logo, so there's that. Might see if Neil Breen wants to ride back to Vegas. I don't know. Wait, are they both gonna come out?
Kale and Kate.
You're all here to see someone. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Gardnam stage, Neil Breen. Yeah, you can take them off. Awesome. Well, Neil, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us about yourself and all that.
What I'd like to, thanks very much for coming. This is terrific, and a great venue. I think it's terrific. And great weather, no wind. Perfect.
Stop just for you.
Thank you. What I'd like to do is just literally spend a couple minutes, give you a brief background. Then Sam will start the questions, and then we'll open it up to an audience Q&A. But I'm here for as long as we have questions and answers. Anyway, real quickly, as some of you may or may not know, Twisted Pair is my 5th theatrical feature film. I have written, produced, directed, acted, and self-funded, paid for each of them by myself. My intention from the very beginning was to create a Neil Breen brand of film. I am not a control freak. I'm not an egomaniac, but I just knew the reality was that if I wanted to be a filmmaker, of which I'm passionate for, I was going to have to do it myself, which bottom line all comes down to money. I am not a rogue filmmaker. I'm not a loner. I'm not a super independent filmmaker. I'm not anti-Hollywood. Bottom line is the only reason none of my films are made near or with the Hollywood system is that I physically don't live in Los Angeles. It's really that simple. I have nothing against the system, although I'm familiar with what it takes to make a film, and I think I can overcome that on a very independent level. My movies are not midnight movies. They are not micro budget. They are not very, very low budget films. I can tell you my films are expensive. From strictly a process point of view, from the point of view of pre-production, production, and post-production, everything that I do on all 5 films, I have followed all the standard processes and formats to make it. Starting with the script. My scripts are full, professionally done scripts, 112, 118 pages. They're shooting scripts that you would find anywhere else. I do them myself. All of my, and I can't type, I'm a hunt and pecker like this. As far as production goes, and casting, and pre-production, I follow all the quote-unquote Hollywood rules. All my casting's done through normal casting notices, et cetera, et cetera. I'll make this as brief as possible. As far as production goes, I've got shooting schedules, I've got cast and crew that are scheduled on a daily basis. It typically takes me about 22 shooting days, working 10-hour days, to do the kind of films that I do. When it comes to post-production, once again, it's all the normal processes and procedures that you'd find in New York or LA. The software that I use is Final Cut Pro. Got the monthly subscription, so it's all up to date. Also use Fusion 7 and After Effects. And between those 3, I seem to get everything that I need. What else? Shoot. I am my own attorney. On the creative side, that's one part of the business. The business side of filmmaking is a completely different animal. From an independent producer's point of view, you must educate yourselves. Now, all of my comments that I make tonight will be relative to doing legitimate, commercial, theatrical, feature films that play in theaters that people pay to see. None of my comments are relative to experimental films, short films, or student films, which are all valid, but that's not what I'm talking about. Twisted Pair, for example, has played in 50 major cities in the world. My other films have played in almost as many cities. And Twisted Pair is sold out in almost every city. This is all on my website. The interesting thing, getting back to me trying to create Neil Breen films, when theaters, large theaters, found out that I had completed Twisted Pair in October of 2018, they contacted me to screen my film, or if I contacted them, they said yes. Not one theater said, "Oh, Neil, sure, we're interested. Can you send us a screener to see if we like it or whether we have an audience for it? So the amazing thing is I never sent out one screener for Twisted Pair. All these theaters signed it up at prime time to screen it. And in all my bookings that I did personally with the theater, I tell them right up front, this is not a midnight movie. I'm not allowing that. I want it to start at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And here's what I want to charge for tickets. Very reasonable. They all agreed. But my point is, from a legal contract point of view, and I wrote up the contracts with the theaters that they signed. And the same thing happens with distribution. You'll find, and I'll try to make this even briefer, that a lot of people on the production side and on the distribution side and on the legal side of the film business who say they are experienced, who say they know all the answers, the more experience you get, the more you find out that they don't know all the answers. And in fact, there's thousands of wonderful people out there on the creative side, and on the production side, and the distribution side. But there's probably more out there on the other side of the coin who are people that you should stay away from. The key is you've got to be smart enough, experienced enough, and knowledge enough by educating yourself to stay away from them. Because it's your property. They're working for you. You've produced the content. You're not working for them. Anyway, that's it in a nutshell. And oh, my last point, and then I'll give it to you. As many of you know, I never went to film school. I went to college to become an architect. I graduated as an architect. I am an architect. I made my first 3 features while I was full-time employed as an architect. And I made, in the past 2 films, I've transitioned away from architecture, as good as it's been to me, to do films full-time. I promise his last comment. I could go on for hours. Speaking of that, good segue. As many of you saw about a year ago, I posted on YouTube that I'm doing a retrospective of my 5 films. That retrospective is me providing a lot of narrative on pre-production, post-production, and production, a lot of film clips. I make all my own props and sets myself, all of that kind of background. Anyway, that 5-film retrospective is done, and I'm going to release it in January as a double DVD, and it's 5 hours plus. So, yeah. So on that happy note, I'll give it to Sam, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I have a couple questions, and we're going to open it up in a little bit. But first, I wanted to congratulate you on a recent Paris screening. The film sold out in Paris.
Oh yeah, this is real, yeah. Some of you, I remember you from Paris, yeah. No, I'm kidding. This is a real quick, interesting story. This was 3 Saturdays ago. I don't know, 3 months ago or whatever, this theater from Paris, France called me up or emailed me and said, we're interested, we've heard about Twisted Pair, we want to screen it. So I said, fine. But I knew that English is not a primary language in Paris, so the programmer manager of the theater said, oh, don't worry about it, Neil. We'll put French titles on it, subtitles. So I said, fine. And of course, there was a screening fee, and they agreed to that. And they said it's in a theater called Le Grand Rex in Paris, in downtown Paris. And so I immediately went online after I got off the email with them, and I pulled up, and you can see it. It's one of these theaters that looks like it was made 100 years ago, super ornate, with 3 balconies. 3. And I said, and you're going to screen Twisted Pair in this thing? So I immediately thought to myself, I said, oh shit, what they're going to... No, I figured, well, you know, they're going to rope off a portion of the ground floor for Twisted Pair, and they're going to isolate, block off the balconies. So it screened 3 Saturday nights ago at like 8 p.m. their time. And I started getting these emails and DMs on social media, and it said, oh, Neil, we saw Twisted Pair last night, and this is in French, and we loved it, the audience went crazy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, that's great. The next morning, I got an email from the programmer manager of the theater and said, oh, Neil, we screened Twisted Pair last night, it was a huge success. Everyone loved it. In fact, all 2,700 people sold out the theater to see it. They opened the entire theater, including the 3 balconies, and 2,700 people came to see it. And then thank you. And this is with French subtitles. And then he says, oh, by the way, we posted on YouTube the standing ovation for you that the audience gave you. So if you go to Ovations for Neil Breen on YouTube, you'll see 2,700 French people standing ovations, going crazy. Which, anyway, it was fantastic. But that was like 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
From one, you could say one art form to another, because there is some overlap in architecture and film, but what was the reason?
Well, I mean, I think like all of us, I mean, we're 8 years old or whatever, and we see our first movie or TV show, we say, God, isn't that interesting? You know, what a fantasy to kind of be involved with something like that. But this is really my temperament, and I'll draw an analogy in a minute. But I'm a pretty level-headed guy, very passionate, creative guy. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that when you're 12 or 18 years old, going to Hollywood and trying to become a filmmaker, I mean, that never happens to anybody. So I said, Neil, you need to get a real job. So bottom line was I've never known an architect. My family is not into the business or anything like that. But I stumbled into architecture, and I said, God, architecture is sort of it has everything that I am. I'm sort of a technical guy, but I'm also a creative guy. So architecture, designing buildings, was sort of a happy blend of the technical, mechanical stuff with the creative, artsy stuff. So anyway, that's how I got into architecture. But the older I got, I never gave up the passion for filmmaking. And to make an even longer story short, the analogy that I make between architecture and filmmaking is that I could design, you know, a 50-story tall building, and you could drive by it with me, and you could say, Neil, I love that building. Or you could say, Neil, that building sucks. You know, it's one or the other, and we would keep driving. I mean, obviously there's an appreciation involved. But from my point of view, and believe me, I love architecture, I'm not knocking it, but something was lacking in that for me. So the analogy I make is that there can be a beautiful 50-story building, but that building, much like this bottle or this microphone, is an inanimate object this bottle that I designed is never going to make you laugh. It's never going to make you cry. It's never going to make you think, etc., etc. And that's what I personally needed from a self-fulfillment point of view. So as nice as the building was, it was never going to make you emote or think. Whereas with this bottle, I can create lighting, I can add words to it, I can put music behind it, I can make it move the way I want. In other words, filmmaking is the ultimate media in creating your own world that will make you laugh, cry, think, emote. And that was always my thought, and then it just became an issue of bringing that into fruition.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, so I wanted to ask too, I know you mentioned it, you said the shooting schedule was about 22 days, but kind of in the larger picture, from when you first sat down to write the film to when the final edit was done and it was screening, how long was that process?
Well, part of doing everything myself is, and I understand that filmmaking is a collaborative process, and I love collaborating with everybody. But there is an inherent efficiency in doing everything yourself. Also, maybe equally important, because it was my own money, I knew that I couldn't afford to have 4 or 6 people around doing nothing, or doing little, or not working to their max output. So, to answer your question, to put it in a timeline, I can honestly say that I don't think shooting any of my films, because they're all essentially done on the same business plan, could be done more efficiently. I mean, the shooting took 22 days, 10 hours a day. The writing I did as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, knowing that I had target dates. In other words, for each of the films, I'd always start in the spring or the late winter, because I wanted to be done in the fall, September or October of every year, because from my point of view, that's the right time to put the films out, like this time of the year.
Awesome. Yeah, and I wanted to ask too, when you actually sit down to write, and also specifically for Twisted Pair, what typically comes first? Do you sit down with the whole story figured out, or do you have a character, an idea, a scene? And for Twisted Pair, what was kind of the genesis of this project?
Well, Twisted Pair, and once again, I posted this on YouTube probably about 9 months before I even started shooting. I just made the decision and the commitment to myself. I said, I want Twisted Pair to be shot entirely at night, just out of the blue. I'd never done, a total night scene. And I said, I'm going to shoot all of Twisted Pair at night. So when I was writing the script, I wrote the script with that in mind. I wrote the scenes as though they were going to all be shot at night. And that gets into how I lit the shots, whether they were interior or exterior, because without being film noir overboard, I really wanted to kind of capture some of that feel and that imagery. Imagery, symbolism, and metaphor is a big thing to me in all my films. So about the writing?
Yeah, I just was wondering, so it sounds like that the genesis of this is, yeah.
Yeah, also, in each film I wanted to challenge myself, both artistically and technically. Every film that I did something, whether primarily in an effects point of view, something that I had never done before. I've never really repeated anything. And I knew that Twisted Pair was going to be shot at night. I knew it was going to have an AI theme. And then I flashed on the fact that, well, if it's got an AI theme, it will have an AI character. What will make that AI character unique? And then, out of I don't know where, I said, what if that AI character had a twin brother? And the AI went in two different directions, one good and one bad, to create a conflict in the story. And from there it evolved into, well, it's one thing if they're twin brothers, but what makes them, to add to the symbolic element of it, what would make it even more different? Well, one's going to have a full beard and the other's going to have no beard. I mean, it's very important, I think, in writing and certainly in projecting or displaying your writing on the screen that you exaggerate. In other words, I could have said, well, the other AI is just going to have a mustache. Well, that's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Or he's going to run around in a purple jumpsuit or something. Yeah, that's not enough. My recommendation when you write something for film, well, I could go on forever. No, I mean, you take risks, be dangerous, be bold, go over the top, be edgy, don't do the normal stuff. Now, the risk you run, this is why you need to build up a little bit of confidence, because the risk you run is that you may do that, and some people like it, some don't like it, some people get it, some people don't get it. Who cares? You're making that film for yourself. Don't make it for a corporation's pleasure. Don't make it, if you're making it for yourself, honestly, then you will find an audience, and the word I like to use is appreciates what you're doing. You may not like it, you may not like all of it, but you can appreciate what the filmmaker was trying to do.
That's awesome. So I have one more question before we're going to open it up to the audience. So we talked briefly backstage a little bit, but I was curious, what's a lesson that you've learned from each of the films you've made, and how has that impacted Twisted Pair?
Well, obviously, my first film was what it was. My second was bigger and better. My third was bigger and better. My fourth was bigger and better. And my fifth is bigger and better. On creative content levels, special effects levels, location levels, on everything. What I've learned, you learn something literally every day, whether it's in pre-production, production, or post-production. Every friggin' day you will learn something for the better. I can't pinpoint one thing that I learned that I could say, oh my God, this is, of all 5 films, this is the one thing that I really learned. I'm a work in progress, and because of the level that I'm working at. So there's not one thing. My advice is essentially what I just said. Be big, be bold, take risks, Live dangerously. Don't be afraid. You gotta go for it. If you don't, honestly, you're gonna get put in a pile with 42 other people just like you. I mean, just like your film. And it's gonna go nowhere. After the retrospective comes out, I am working on now my next film. This will be my last comment.
Yeah.
I've already got the story and treatment done and so on, and it is fantastic. But I will not. This is a commitment I made to myself. I will not self-fund my next film. I'm looking now for major dollars to do a major production with major people. I've jumped the hump here. 5 is what I have to offer, and I'm ready to move on, and I'm looking for people to move on with me.
Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to it. So we are going to take some audience questions. If you all raise your hands and I will point to you. Let's see, Beanie right there in the, you, backwards out, yeah, I'm pointing at you, yeah. Stand up and say your question.
Hi, Neil. Do you have any other advice for aspiring filmmakers?
Yes. But it takes a lot of time. Honestly, I've learned so much in doing all this myself for the past 5 films. And that's one of the real motivations for me doing this retrospective. I literally spent hours talking to the audience, talking to prospective filmmakers in great detail about writing scripts, shooting, casting, editing, distribution, and on and on and on. So to answer your question, no, I don't have one sentence that's going to turn your life around as a filmmaker. And that's why I'm offering the double DVD, the retrospective. As almost as a film school supplement, because I say things in the retrospective that maybe a film school teacher wouldn't say. And I've learned from other people that what you hear in film school or online, I'm not knocking any of it, I think it's all valid, but a lot of times they won't tell you the real truth from the street. They'll give you half-truths and try to puff things up, etc., etc. But that's why I try to get into it, and I actually envision it as something that an aspiring film student or a film student would like to hear in detail for hours.
Awesome. Thanks for the question. Let's do back there, yeah.
It, like I said, everyone gets bigger and better on different levels. So I'd have to say Twisted Pair. I was just fortunate through a lot of internet casting to find a guy, a doppelganger for me. So
you did an incredible job.
It worked out great.
Awesome. Alrighty, right there, second row.
Your films are filled with all sorts of symbolism, themes, but what was the purpose you were going for with Kuz's Muse fairy character?
Well, let me back up. All of my, as I said earlier, and you got it right, but all of my films do not just have one meaning. I've written them all to have different meanings. Like I said earlier, there's metaphor, symbolism, and so on in all of them. And they all have different interpretations. And from my point of view, all of those interpretations are valid. There's no right or wrong. Like the muse is one interpretation of the winged spirit. The eagle is another metaphor or symbol. And in pass-through, I don't know how many saw pass-through, the tiger is a metaphor symbol, and so on and so on and so on. So I don't ever say, oh, the winged spirit was this, the tiger was this. And that's not what I'm about. You're the audience, you can interpret it to whatever you like.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, yeah, we still got quite a few more questions. Well, we should have time to get to most of them. You in the back, let's say third. Yeah, you're pointing at yourself. Yeah. Here. We'll do one. So you first, and then you after, since you guys are both next to each other.
From what? Right. Well, it's great. I mean, it's my intention. You can't make the next movie till you've made money on the last movie. And the past 3 films for me have all been profitable. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have made Pass-Through if I didn't make money on Fateful, and I couldn't have made Twisted unless I made money on Pass-Through. I mean, these things are selling DVDs all over the world, and they've been selling for years. It's all, I'm not a super extreme capitalist, but if you don't have the money, you're not going to make the film. With all your best intentions, you've got to have some money to make the film. So I'm happy that everybody all over is seeing the films and paying for them. Well, that brings up another real quick comment. I am and have been for the past few months trying to get Twisted Pair released digitally. And yeah, so just so you know, that's in the works.
Awesome.
Just that I'm not against it. It just contractually with all the platforms, it gets tricky.
Right. So did you have a question next to him? Yeah.
That's that influence question.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean that. In fact, thanks for the question. That's a normal question that I get. What films have influenced you, Neil, in your life? No answer. What actors have influenced you? No answer. What directors have influenced you? No answer. I'm a huge movie buff, both new and old films. I love a lot of movies. But I can honestly say there isn't one film or one director or one genre that has influenced me. I don't fall into that. If there might be a part of a film that I love or one actor's partial or full performance, but no, I haven't been influenced by a specific film actor or director.
Awesome. I'm gonna go. Let's go to the guy in the hat right there. Yeah, your buddy tapped you.
So I was wondering, I noticed, do you see these films taking place in a single universe where all these stories exist in one universe, or are they all totally separate?
No, they're all separate. All of my film, well, real briefly, all of my films fall into the sci-fi fantasy genre. Once again, this gets back to being bold, being big, taking risks. Don't be afraid. I'm not well, all of my films are about fantasy, otherworldly things without being about little green men landing in a flying saucer. You know, Double Down was about a rogue CIA agent who could control everything from satellites. And I did that like 13 years ago. I Am Here Now is about a being that comes to this planet from someplace who may or may not be who you think it is, and is very environmentally concerned about the human race. Fateful Findings is about a little black cube that two kids find in a treasure chest underneath a magic mushroom.
The magical day!
Pass Through is about a being which comes to this planet and from wherever, but is concerned about the plight of the planet and the people's treatment of each other on the planet. Twisted Pair is about AI, once again with some otherworldly force. They all take on a very humanistic character. None of them are true aliens. They all have human features, but they have otherworldly offerings.
Awesome. We get someone from this side now. There's so many people. Right here, second row. Seinfeld shirt, yeah.
Well, actually, we were talking about this earlier. All of my films have a romantic interest. And that romantic interest is either love found, love lost, love found. But there's always, they're not romantic comedies. The guy and girl don't live necessarily happily after on this planet or otherwise. But yeah, that's just part of me. There's always a romantic twist. Like in Twisted Pair, when you see the guy, near the end, when you see the guy and girl put their arms around each other and they start walking off, I heard from behind that a few of you clapped. Oh, that's the end of the movie. And then we twisted it to have her dissolve away. Not happy ending. Anyway, so it's a romantic element which is part of me.
Awesome. Sweet. Let's do. Someone's pointing. Someone's dramatically pointing over here. Yes.
Hi, Neil.
Hi.
I was wondering if you ever would consider releasing merchandise, be it for Twisted Pair or any of your other movies.
You know, when I did Pass Through, I tried that. I had T-shirts, I had hats, and bottom line is, and once again, this is all relative to me as the independent producer, it's just not financially feasible. And I say that because I can make them by the hundreds, I can advertise them, but the price that I would have to sell them to you guys for would not make it feasible, because you guys wouldn't pay the price that I would have to ask to, well, no, I'm talking quantity. Yes, I could sell a couple hundred of them, but to sell 8,000 of them, yeah, it just doesn't work at my level.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Let's do green shirt right there. Yeah. There you are. Yeah.
Hi.
If you ever do get a studio-funded film, do you still plan on acting in them? And if not, what sort of like big A-list actor would you like to see?
I have no idea. No, I have no idea. You know, I'll tell you a funny story. Well, it's not funny, but you'd be surprised. Other than the 5 or 6 A-list female actress and A-list male actors, outside of those 5 or 6 people, you would be surprised, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, how inexpensive it is to get some named people. The problem is, and I shouldn't say this either, but it's the unions. I have tried to use union people, cast-wise. Financially it doesn't work. Nothing against SAG-AFTRA, but it's not good financially. It makes it too difficult, too expensive for me.
Sweet. Okay. Let's try someone from.
Not on this planet. I'll tell you, no, it's a universal problem. Regardless of what channel you watch or what internet site you go to, corruption on every level, in every aspect of life, is stupidly rampant. And that's not going to change soon, unfortunately. So, go ahead.
Sweet. Yeah. Awesome. I mean, you were waving, so let's do that.
So, as you mentioned, be good. And I'm wondering, since that seems to be a regular, recurring constant, why is that theme important to make it?
Well, I think everyone with a sense of human nature believes that. We'd all like to be good to each other and happy and loving and supporting of each other. My twist is, and leaving it open-ended, that it's taking someone from out here in space to come here and tell us that's a fact. That, like in Pass-Through, the speech he makes, he says the human race essentially has reached the bottom. And to clean it up, I'm going to eliminate 300 million of the bad guys, boom, with a snap of a finger. And he does it. But what may be recurring is that all of the stronger, prouder, smarter voices that are saying that are coming from outside our realm of humanity.
Awesome. I'm gonna get someone from the side. White shirt.
Hey. Nice shirt. No. Well, sequel is I've never repeated characters. It won't be, I don't envision a literal sequel where, you know, they're both walking out of the forest and say, hey, I know you. You know, no, it'll be much more subtle than that. Yeah, anyway.
So my question was, so you usually throw in like suspense and thriller. I was hoping you ever consider making a horror movie.
No, I have nothing against horror. I have nothing against movies that are filled with car chases. I have nothing against gang, drug movies. I have nothing against movies that are 100% CGI. All that stuff's great. It's just not me. And what you'll find as a writer, you write what you know. You write what you personally can draw from, or what your inner feelings tell you. I mean, when you look back on a lot of great films, and then with a little bit of research and history, you find that the writer of the film actually lived that story, or his mother lived that story, or his next door neighbor lived that story, or it's about him and his guy friends in the 8th grade. There's always a rich connection, usually, unless it's a total sci-fi thing, like, you know, Star Wars or anything like that, which is fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. You right in the middle next to the dude in the pink shirt? Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you, Neil. Your films bring me a lot of joy. I have a question about the high points and low points of your career from being an architect to where you are now.
I'm a very level-minded kind of guy. I don't believe in anger. I think anger is a total waste of energy. Of course, I would get pissed off at something, but I mean, you know, to get angry is silly. On the other side of the coin, if something good, like the French screening, when that guy said, Neil, 2,700 people are applauding you, I said to myself, great, I was happy. My parents were happy. You know what I mean? But I didn't go jumping up and down, and you know, it's just, that's what I'm saying. I'm fairly, personality-wise, and temperament-wise, I'm pretty level like that. So I really don't have highs and lows. If it's a low, you get over it. It may take you an hour, it may take you 2 days, but you get over it. And the same thing with the highs, you know?
Awesome. Thanks for the question. We're gonna move, someone just said over here, so I'm gonna go to them.
I had a question about when you edit the movies, you said you use Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider using like Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve or anything else other than what you use now?
I'm not, probably, but I'm just not familiar with them. You know, between Final Cut and Fusion 7 and Aftercuts, I've been able to do everything that I wanted to do from an effects point of view. So I've never felt the need to go somewhere else. Now, obviously, the bigger the film gets and the more CGI I have, you know, that will lend itself probably to going somewhere else. But to date, I've been fine.
Sweet. Cool. I see you pointing at him, so.
In a lot of your past productions, you've worn a lot of hats, and now you're talking about moving towards in your next film, like collaborations, big names, big money, and like all that. Do you foresee any of those old hats, like not only writer, producer, director?
Oh, absolutely.
Some of the smaller ones that maybe are underappreciated. Do you see any of those that you're like, I'm not giving that up, I'm still going to do that?
Yes. Yeah. Like producer, for example, just from a legal point of view, I would want to be a producer legally for financial reasons. Also, if you give up producer, you really don't carry any weight. The other thing is I own the copyright for all my films. So in the next film, if I write that film, even if I co-write it, I'm going to be the copyright holder, and I certainly would never give that up. Whether I'd be allowed to direct something, that's a whole nother issue. But, I definitely want to stay involved. Yeah.
I guess, were there any that were maybe underappreciated roles that you'd be like, I still want to, like catering or any of the things that you're in the credits for?
Oh, yeah, I'd be happy to give all that stuff away. Trust me, I'm not exaggerating. Every morning of all 5 films, I'm putting the lunch for that day that I bought in the supermarket the prior night into like 6 ice chests. And I'm carrying them out to my pickup truck and putting them in there myself. I'd be happy to give that stuff up. Yeah.
Awesome. We have time for one more question, and so we have time for one more question, but Neil will be available after this Q&A to answer any other questions you have, along with getting autographs, taking photos, and we will do that in a minute. But there are a lot of hands and a lot of people pointing. Oh my goodness, there's so many people pointing to this person over here. So.
Thank you. Thanks, bro.
It's
10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm sorry, this is slightly selfish. There's a lot of video reviews, memes, all kinds of stuff. There's a whole feature film based on your work. Do you look at this stuff? It's mostly internet based, obviously, but do you look at this?
This is the best question of the night. Yeah. Okay, and here's the God's honest answer. No. Real quick, and then we'll go to this other location. The review, this gets back to what I said earlier. You're making the film for yourself, and hopefully the audiences will turn out and like it. I think there were 2 podcasts that came out with Double Down 12 years ago or whatever it was. And one liked it, 2 guys sitting in front of a camera, and the other was a guy and a girl. 2 guys liked it and 2 guys didn't. I mean, the girl and the guy didn't, whoever it was. And I said to myself, why am I watching this? I mean, it doesn't do me any good or bad. So the real truth is that I have never read a review of any of my films. I have never looked at podcasts or links that are sent to me. This is the truth. What I do get and do respond to, in my own head, I get emails, DMs, everything. Neil, we like this, blah, blah, blah. Neil, 500 people came and sold out the Music Box in Chicago last night. They all loved it. London, people, Neil, you own London. People are around this corner in line. Neil, 2,700 people just saw it in Paris, etc., etc., etc. That and they are the reviews that I listen to, and that means something to me. I honestly could care less about what anybody else has to say. I appreciate their effort, but everyone in this audience is a reviewer, Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and I respect that, good or bad.
I wasn't really referring to reviews. I was mostly just talking about like art that's inspired by your art.
No.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, with that, Neil will be available. Well, actually, let's move this back. I'm just going to put this on the stand. Neil will be available over in the locker room for photos, more questions and stuff. We got to kind of, it's a Garden Grove. You can blame them. But no, we love Garden Grove here. So Neil will be back there in a minute. Please, if you want to go meet and greet Neil Breen, we ask that you form a single file line over here. There's going to be some.
So this is the line to meet and I guess greet Neil Breen. Weird night. Weird night. Hey Sean, how do you feel about the fact that Neil Breen has never watched our movie?
Honestly, fine.
Same.
Honestly, I'm good.
Same.
I'm good with it.
Did you guys make a Neil Breen movie?
We did. It's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it. Yeah, Fatal Future. Please watch it. I could use 19 cents. This is the most surreal moment of my life. Okay, and just like that, we met Neil Breen.
We have.
Yeah, it was everything and nothing.
Yeah, it was remarkable.
Man, that is a man that does not socialize much. But
I get that impression. Yes.
But I mean, cool. I'm glad he like the fact they did the meet and greet. And
Yeah, no, that's
stuff.
very
That's
cool
cool.
of him. He definitely doesn't have to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got his signature twice on a piece of copy
I
paper.
did, and
that's
then
pretty
also
dope.
on the back of my notebook.
Yeah, so there's that.
So I can make some money.
Yeah, let's do a 4-hour drive back to the same location he'll be going to.
Yeah, presumably.
You do.
Thanks. Very good.
Oh my god.